All right, this one's gonna be weird and tough. I don't really know how I feel about this movie. It's hard for me to just solidify how I feel or felt. No, I still feel about this film. There's just so much that went on with it that it was hard to really digest it properly and fully. Yeah, we're just gonna dive in and give it a shot here. Welcome back to the channel, Spider Trainer here, and today we're gonna be talking about Captain America: Brave New World. This movie needed to be good. It really did, because Marvel has been really struggling to kind of get some synergy back and really maintain momentum, getting things back to form the way they used to be years ago, and they just cannot seem to get back to it. It needed to be good, and I see what they were trying to do with trying to give that Winter Soldier feel, like espionage, things happening behind the scenes, very political stance type thing. And yeah, I felt the energy of that in it, and I see what they were trying to do, but because they were shot, it was reshot to hell. They went to production hell, just rewrites, reshoots, different writers here and there. You could tell throughout the movie that it was really choppy and really chopped up all the way throughout. And also, keep in mind, this was supposed to come out back in 2024. Here we are in 2025. This movie finally drops, and yeah, we get this. So first off, I'm gonna give out the positives, because I feel like I'm gonna really labor on the negatives of this movie, or what I felt like just didn't fit or didn't feel good or feel right. I will just start off with the things that I enjoyed, things that I ended up trying to enjoy about this movie. Some of the action sequences were pretty good. A lot of CGI, obviously, and it doesn't bother me too much with the CGI, in movies. And some points, I'm really trying to save the negatives for later, but some points I could tell where it was CGI, like strongly CGI, and that took me out of it a little bit, which is rare for me, where that takes me out. But yeah, a few moments where I noticed it, but otherwise, the action sequences were pretty good. Very opening one, where Sam infiltrates the Serpent Society, or I guess it's just called Serpent, get the adamantium back. Thought that was pretty cool, and I could tell, and again, you could tell the movie was chopped up, because certain scenes that we saw in the trailers, they were different. Like with that spin wing kick, that was shot at a different angle in the trailer than it was in the movie. The way that Sam Wilson landed after he infiltrates and dives down to the ground, and that sonic boom blows him all away. And I caught it, I'm like, oh shoot, they actually fixed it. Because if you all noticed when that trailer dropped, Sam Wilson, after coming down at supersonic speed, landing on the ground, the way he landed would have shattered his ankle, knee, and all of him. It would have shattered him. I know he's wearing a vibranium suit, but you could tell that, his right foot, it was like bent at a weird angle. And in the movie they fixed it, so good for them. They made that make sense, but even still. Certain angles were just shot differently, and it didn't hit the way it did in the trailers for some of those scenes. So that was, and again, I'm going into negatives. It's gonna be really hard to get positives out so that I can get to that stuff, but here we are. I felt like that scene was pretty good. Some of the hits, this is tough. Like, I really want to dive into the negatives, and there is some positives, and believe me when I say that there are, that I actually ended up enjoying, but man, was this tough to watch. Like, I just wanted this to be so good, and I was so hopeful for this. And I think I walked in with too much expectation, or too high of an expectation, and that's probably what messed me up with how I digested the movie, but whatever. Yeah, the one where they're at on the Celestial Island, where Tiamat the Celestial is there, and they have the whole dogfight in the sky. That was pretty cool, heavily CGI, but regardless, still pretty cool scenes. And again, we saw most of it in the trailer, so it wasn't really left, to behold, because we already seen like half of that. And then, of course, the Red Hulk. Oh, no, by the way, spoilers. There are gonna be spoilers in here. The acting was okay for the most part. Anthony Mackie, I think, did a good job portraying the role of Captain America / Falcon, because it's still hard for me to see him fully as Captain America. And I know that he's like, and I even defended this. I even defended that, yeah, he's in the comics as Captain America. He becomes Captain America in the comics. But even that didn't help me look at him as Cap comfortably. Like, I was like really straining to view him as that, that character and taking on the moniker of Captain America. He did what he could with the role, and I felt like it worked for the most part. Joaquin Torres, or the new Falcon, he annoyed a lot of people. Yeah, people did not like him very much. He just, like, the jokes seemed a bit forced, and some of them didn't really land. There were some that were like, nah, chuckle here and there, but I don't know. I'm kind of over the MCU humor that they really try to shoehorn in there because they want points to break up the tension wherever it may be. But sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. It just seemed to work back in the day, and now it's just they can't get it back to where it used to work. it's just not funny. It's just like, it's just all forced now. Isaiah Bradley, I mean, the actor who portrays him, he does a great job. I really like his portrayal of Isaiah Bradley, just this old, really beat down U.S. patriot that fought for his country but was tortured for 30 years. And he's just trying to get back to a regular life, but just that's stuck with him, and it's sticking with him, and he can't let that go. It's hard. And Sam's trying to help him out of it, and Sam used to be he used to be a counselor for vets, I believe. And I think it was Winter Soldier, I think? Yeah, that's where they met. Anyway, yeah, I felt like that relationship is cool. I like that dynamic between those two characters. And that there's a lot that Sam could learn about being Captain America from Isaiah, and how that helps him fit into the role currently as Captain America. And they have a lot of differences in opinion on how that role is portrayed in today's government in the MCU, but they always seem to kind of end up on the same page or find a compromise here and there. But anyway, overall, I thought his character was pretty good. Harrison Ford, I think, did a good job as Thunderbolt Ross. I mean, rest in peace, the guy who used to portray Thunderbolt Ross. I thought that Harrison Ford is a good pick for that. I think he nailed it. There were certain scenes, though, where there's one... Okay, you know what? F it. I'm done with the positives. If they come up, they come up. But right now, it's hard for me to talk around everything else I want to talk about because I'm trying to stay positive here. But F it. So there's one scene just on Harrison Ford real quick. They're talking in that room and they're arguing about what to do, what the right move or choice is to make. And then Harrison Ford hits the table and cracks it. It was like, oh no. And that just seemed a bit forced. It didn't seem as organic to me, the way he got mad. And that's a very, very minor and small gripe, but I didn't believe it. I didn't... Because he was just like, rah! You know, and obviously not to that extent, but it just didn't make sense. Like, it would have been one thing where you were just like, duh! It didn't fit for me. It just looked very cheesy, very corny. Because it's like, okay, we're about to see, like, he's actually turning into the Red Hulk. If you haven't seen the freaking trailers, that ruined it, by the way, which I will talk about that. But yeah, so certain moments where I just didn't quite believe it. And it wasn't just Harrison Ford, it was other places too. And that could be due to the fact that it was re-scripted so many times and rewritten so many times. So they only worked with what they had. So I can't really blame the actors for their portrayal of these characters and, you know, how they played out in the film. But yeah, with Harrison Ford, I really hate that they just destroyed the reveal of Red Hulk in the trailers. Because in the comics, I mean, I didn't read the comics when they came out because I don't think I was born yet, or maybe I was just a little tyke at the time when it came out. But with the Red Hulk saga, it was a mystery throughout trying to figure out who is the Red Hulk? Who is this guy? Because clearly it's not Ross, because Ross hates the Hulk and he's hunting the Hulk, so why would he become the Hulk, the thing he hates? And then, again, it's been a while since I've kind of dabbled in that whole issue, that whole series, but that was like a mystery. And even in like the cartoon Avengers, Earth's Mightiest Heroes, which was a really good series when it came out and they canceled it, of course, like all good things. But there was a portion where the Red Hulk shows up, he appears, and we're trying to figure out who it is because we think it's Ross, and I think, and then obviously those who read the comics at that point know it's Ross, but it doesn't allude to Ross right away. It isn't like, you don't think it's him based off what they're telling you in the show. So there's a mystery aspect behind who is the Red Hulk. Who could it possibly be? Based on how he's talking, how he's acting, you're just like, okay, I think it's Ross, but I'm not sure. But they blew that in the trailers. And even for those who don't know comics or Marvel or anything that much, that would have been a great reveal, especially the way it builds. Like, it's very organic the way it builds, but it's already ruined because we know who it is. We know what's going to happen to him. And even, like, for me, the moment the movie starts, it starts with Thunderbolt Ross's acceptance speech after he becomes president, where he starts with him taking a pill, medication, and I wonder what that's going to be about. Maybe it's about suppressing the Hulk. Or, I mean, again, that was probably wrong about that. It's actually for his heart medication, but that's what ends up turning him into it. But I had my theories about what that was going to lead to right off the bat because I already knew what was going to happen. And yes, I already know that in the comics he's Red Hulk, but for those who were just going in blind, that would have been a great reveal because it was building up very slowly. He's taking the pills, and then things start popping off. He almost gets shot. So, and then he gets more tense. You see him take another pill. And then when Japan wants to bow out of the treaty, he gets more upset. He's just clearly getting more angry, and he's also trying to change his ways after being the militaristic bastard who hunted the Hulk for so many years. And his daughter literally hates his guts, chasing his boyfriend all across the world, basically. And she hasn't spoken to him, but now he's trying to make up for lost time and like really make amends with his family, with his country, trying to be different, trying to change. And that I felt from Harrison Ford's portrayal of the character. So that was cool, but it would have been more impactful had we not seen in the trailers or that been shot to hell. It's not that it didn't make sense, it's just that they ruined it. They ruined the reveal. It was supposed to be a big reveal and then they shot it out. But yeah, with Thunderbolt Ross, let's backtrack, because ultimately this movie feels more like, and a lot of people are saying this, but it feels more like a Incredible Hulk sequel. And some even say that you could have removed Sam Wilson out of this, placed any other superhero in there, and it wouldn't have affected it a whole lot, because there wasn't really a whole lot of Captain America-esque type stuff going on. It was political, sure, and Captain America's a patriot for the United States or whatever, but you could still take him out, play somebody else in, like hell. I mean, it could have even been Hawkeye. I mean, that's a weird stretch, but anyone else could have been in that role, and the movie wouldn't have been changed that much, or it wouldn't have been as impactful, I think. And I'm debating on that fully, with that being my own thought process on that, because sure, it's Sam Wilson, he's a new Captain America, he's trying to fight for his country, all that, but like I feel like that there is something there with that opinion. Yeah, so this ultimately felt like an Incredible Hulk sequel, because back in 2008 when that movie came out, Samuel Stearns, the guy he was Mr. Blue, trying to help out Mr. Green, Bruce Banner, and he gets knocked across and his blood goes into his head. And I mean, when I saw that, I'm like, oh my gosh, he's gonna be the leader 16 or so years later. So that was a payoff that took so long, and it didn't hit. Because I mean, with Stearns being the leader, by the way, who is a very in-depth primary Hulk villain, which it sucks to have a Hulk villain without the Hulk. We're almost doing the Sony Spider-Man thing again, where we're doing these characters that are based off other characters that are completely excluded. And it falls onto that actor to portray the character well enough to make it make sense in the movie that they're in. But here we are. So big. It was supposed to be a big payoff, but it didn't feel that way, especially for those who were just going in blind, not knowing anything about those past movies, or even the series, Falcon Winter Soldier. They're not gonna know what's going on. I mean, they could put things together best they can. I mean, because it clearly gives exposition here and there to explain what's going on and what's happened. But the impact of it doesn't hit the same, because they probably don't know about those movies and that they're even connected, really. Ultimately, with this being a Captain America movie with Anthony Mackie portraying the role of Sam Wilson / Captain America, I struggled really hard to see him as Captain America. Like, because again, that's a title. It's not really just a person. Steve Rogers is the iconic Captain America, but we had Isaiah Bradley way back in the day, who was that character, basically. And then when he was handed off the shield, a lot of people wanted Bucky to have it. Steve gave it to Sam, because he saw something in Sam that, he felt like he was the right guy for the job. When people called him Cap, like even in the very beginning where he's at the bar, he gets the drink and he's like, oh, it's all in the house. Don't worry about it. Thanks, Cap, and whatever. And then the soldier guy, Dumpy, who is an actual character in the comics, Demolition Man, who does have a heart condition or a heart attack, which I would just kind of read that in passing, like, oh, that's kind of cool, they threw that in there. But yeah, when they acknowledge him as Cap, like, thanks, Cap, all right, Cap, all that. And it didn't fit. Like, I guess there's a lot more weight with Steve. There's a lot more history. My wife even pointed this out. There's history with Steve Rogers. So people look at him as a piece of history that is literally walking amongst them. And that he did fight in wars that were years and years ago. And he did save a bunch of people, tons of people. Not that Sam didn't, but there's more. He has more under his belt than Sam does. So I don't know if that's part of it, because Captain America is just, it's a very important role and very important title that was just thrust upon Sam to carry the torch, basically. I don't know, it just seemed because there was a lot of very light and loose hidden agendas in that, where, as a black man, I had to struggle, and they use that as a talking point to say, like, we struggle, and I'm just like you. I'm just like, the average American, just trying to be better, just trying to do better. You need to do better, Senator. That whole meme. That was from that movie. And basically that's how he talks down the Hulk. He just talks to him. The same way that series ended up, the same thing happened with the movie. You need to do better, President. You can do better, Ross. And he shrinks, and then the day is saved. Yeah. And like people, that goes to the fact that people didn't see that there was a matchup between how in the world could Captain America defeat Red Hulk? He's just a dude, no super soldier serum. With that said, though, I did appreciate the weight that is felt by Sam about that this is a lot of pressure. Like, I think, and also as Anthony Mackie, like himself, like being the new Captain America, portraying the new Captain America both in real life and in the MCU, I feel like there's a lot of truth behind certain lines, like especially in the end of the movie, where he talks to Joaquin, who's recovering from his injury, and talking about that there's a lot of pressure. There's pressure that this job comes with. It's not easy doing this. Like, he struggles to accept that he is a new Cap, and he hopes and prays that people accept him for that as well, and he knows that people don't. So that's something that is shown that he does battle with. And there's a part where I think he's fighting the Red Hulk, and he's talking to Bucky. Talks to Bucky first when Joaquin is under surgery, saying that I should have taken the serum back in Falcon Winter Soldier. I should have taken the serum because that would have made things a lot easier. People probably would have respected me more. All the thoughts that you could imagine going through his head about things would have been just a lot better if I just taken it. But no. Bucky convinces him that Steve didn't give you the shield because you had superpowers or you didn't or whatever it was. He gave it the shield because you're you. Because there's something in you that makes you unique. And some people would argue with that, but I like that. Because that does give this Captain America a different spin, because it's not Steve Rogers. It's not the old Cap that we know and love and that we're used to. This is a different human being. But with that comes different aspects that he can present to the public. Yeah, Bucky mentions to Sam that Steve gave people something to believe in, and then says to Sam that you give people something to aspire to. Which there's a difference there. There's a difference in receiving what Captain America, whether it be Steve or Sam, give to the people. And then that pays off very much so in the end, where he's at Joaquin's bedside, Sam, and they're talking, and they're kind of getting emotional with each other about, like, that's weight, man, that's pressure. You know, I wonder if there will ever be a day where I'll just simply be enough. That goes as him as a black man, him as a new Cap, whatever. And then Joaquin says, dude, I want that. I want that. I saw all these people, these superheroes online and on TV, and I finally get to be one. And the one he's like, what, Ant-Man? No, I want it to be like you. He gave him someone to aspire to. Like, he did affect and impact someone in that way that really paid off in the end. So that, I guess, reassures Sam, I would believe, or would hope, that he is making a difference. He is making an impact, and then him being the new Cap is the right thing and the right choice, and that can convince him to kind of keep growing in that area. So, I don't know, I'm probably reading too much into that, but that's what I got out of it, and I felt that was really cool. But even so, in certain fight scenes and certain conflicts, it just seemed janky, and again, some of the impacts and the hits that Cap did, like, Winter Soldier is probably the pinnacle of, seeing what Cap can do, and even Civil War for sure. And although Falcon, and I think we didn't get enough of Falcon, honestly. When Sam Wilson was still Falcon, we didn't get a whole lot of him, because he was a good character in those movies. I feel like his character development in those films were really good. I wish we got more of him. Falcon is such a cool character that I feel like he should have been around a little longer, and I think we should have kept Cap a little longer. With the 3 or 4 movies that we've seen Sam as the Falcon in, and then we get Falcon Winter Soldier where he's transitioning into the role, I feel like we would have been more invested had we had more of the character, knowing more about Sam and his take on certain approaches or certain situations, and kind of seeing him. And also, I think it would have been cool to kind of fit into those films different seeds of where Steve is trying to make a choice between Bucky or Sam, or something to that effect, where a decision we're leading up to a decision about who's going to be handed off the shield. Who is it going to be? At the very end of Endgame, it was just like, here you go, Sam. And just assuming that Steve saw enough in Sam, but we didn't see that. We didn't see that decision-making process take place. I don't know if I'm reaching, if that would be too much to ask, but I think it just would have made it easier to accept, like, Sam truly earned the shield. I felt like he was just kind of given to it. And even Sam was like, what are you, dude, Bucky's right there. You're handing it to the wrong guy. No, I don't. But no, Steve was like, no, this is for you. Like, I believe that you're worthy of this. But that just seemed to happen. So, and like, well, if you want on the flip side of it, Steve did age. So he had a lot of time to probably process this. He grew old with Peggy and that other timeline, and then he shows up magically on the bench after he leaves seconds ago to go put the stones back. So maybe he had decades to really live out, his life and think about things, and he's like, you know what, I need to go back and hand the torch over. I think it's time. So there's that aspect that we just didn't see that. And I think there was a speculation about a movie or a series where we got to see Chris Evans going back into Return of the Stones and his adventures that took place during that time. That would have been a nice little hole to fill in with a lot of details that were just missing. Maybe that would have been fitting in that, and if that's a thing that ever is going to happen or ever was going to happen, that would have been cool to see that decision process take place in that. What I think the movie really could have used is, obviously, I wish it wasn't shot to hell so many times and it had like 5 different writers to write the script for this film, because that's felt in the film, so it just really messed it up. I think honestly, if it was a little longer, they would, and I can only imagine what was actually cut out of the film, and if it had been included still, what things would have made more sense had that been the case. But didn't happen, and there are just a lot of plot holes that just legitimately don't make sense. Like, how did Leader get from one place to another? How does Sam get here all the way to the Indian Ocean in like 2 minutes flat? And I know there's a time jump here and there, but like, regardless, I don't care how fast you can fly, there's no way, once you hear about it, you're there. And I mean, in the Leader, it's just things like that. Things like logistics that just didn't make sense. And yeah, don't think too hard about it, don't think too much into it. It's a movie, no. Like, if I want to watch a film about real life stuff that could happen in the world, like, because this is a much more grounded movie versus the fantastical stuff that happens in space or people with superpowers and whatever. This is a bit more grounded. It was more like Winter Soldier, where that was more like espionage, you know, kind of type film, like spy film. But even so, like, I have to at some point draw a line and saying, okay, what's believable here? Like, they're not selling me on what's taking place here, not fully. And if I'm not fully into it, if I'm not fully believing what they're selling, then I'm not immersed, and therefore I can't really fully enjoy what they're trying to portray on the film and what I can take away from it. So, yeah, I just wish it didn't have so many problems that caused it to be delayed so much, and it could have been a lot better had they just simply taken the time to make it good first time around. And I don't know, there's really not much I can say about that, because I feel like it really could have been good, but the writing, the reshoots, that is heavily felt. Certain scenes were just taken out of that we saw in the trailers were just taken out of the film, and I mentioned this earlier with the landing with Captain America without his wings. Giancarlo Esposito, which I forgot to mention him, did a great job, but he was only in it for like a few minutes. And the Red Hulk fight, I timed it, it's about 6 minutes long. It's when he transforms to when things get de-escalated and he turns back into Harrison Ford. About 6 minutes. 6.5-ish, if you want to count like when he's on the screen, but I just started from when they started fighting to when the fight was over. 6 minutes. And we saw like 3 of those minutes in the trailers. So they ruined that. I'm not gonna go back to that, but you know what I mean. Like, hopefully you get what I'm trying to say there with that. Overall, I'm gonna give this, it hurts to say that I enjoyed it, and that's wrong. That shouldn't be the case. It should be like, I enjoyed that movie. That should be it, but like, I'm pained to say that I enjoyed this movie. So I'm gonna give this, but it's not as bad as The Marvel. So I will give this 2.8 thwips. Because it was good. I could pass it as a good movie. That one that wasn't just like the standard is, if it's better than Madam Web and The Marvels, then it's decent. Because those are just trash, garbage, hot garbage. But you know, I feel like this movie did okay. It just could have been a lot better, and had it been more succinct with how it was produced and portrayed and marketed, I think it really could have saved the movie a lot of pain and stress. But anyway, that's my review on Captain America Brave New World. What were your thoughts on the film? Leave your comments down below. Really curious to see what you guys think. Thanks again for joining me. This is Spidey Trainer, and remember to click the like button, hit subscribe, and hit the bell for more notifications on whatever video I have coming up next. And until next time, stay amazing.